And we're back with more Talking Law TV. We're here with Doug Andrews. Hi, Doug.
Hi, Michael.
You're rejoining us for Intoxilyzer 5000 Part 2.
Right. We talked about some basics in Part 1 on the machine itself. That's what the Intoxilyzer looks like for those who didn't see Part 1. But if we go forward, I think 2 slides, let's talk for a minute about the components again. Your left end of the screen is the light source that shines through this sample chamber. So that tube there with the pipe sticking up it is the sample chamber. And the light is received at the far right end, and if there's nothing in there other than clean air, it gives a reading of no alcohol. Anything in there that absorbs, reflects, diffuses, refracts the light will decrease the amount of infrared energy received at the far end. And that's read as the machine, by the machine, as alcohol. So it's measuring light, not alcohol directly. And the computer inside the Intoxilyzer computes that. If you go forward a slide, go forward 1 slide, that's the light bulb. It's a tiny little quartz lamp. Costs about 98 cents. Go to the next one. And that's the sample chamber. It's a pipe about 7 inches long, has a diameter of about a 25-cent piece. And the sample chamber is 81 cubic centimeters. When you look at the printout on the machine, it says your grams percent of alcohol related to 210 liters of lung air. That's 210,000 cc's. So if you're measuring what's in this sample chamber of 81 cc's, you have to multiply that result by a factor of 2,594, if I remember the right number, to get the equivalent of 210 liters of lung air. The human capacity of lungs is between 4 and 6 liters. So it's extrapolating that much to go back to that original standard of blood alcohol, to equate the breath to a blood content. You need a partition ratio because vapor is not as concentrated as a liquid. So to get from point A, this sample chamber, to the 210 liters is a factor of greater than 2,500 times. So any small error in here is magnified 2,500 times.
That could be leftover air from a previous test subject?
Well, when you see these machines, and I've broken it down, the book that I was trained on is about that thick. This is the operator manual that the state of Georgia trains its operators on. So in the maintenance course I took to be a maintenance technician on this machine, you break it down and there is all kinds of gunk and stuff that people blow into this machine. It looks horrible. God forbid anybody should inhale that stuff. No telling what people get from this machine if they would inhale from it.
Well, let's say it's been a really busy period on St. Patrick's Day, and this people blowing in it time after time after time. The guy in front of me is going to blow like a 1.8 or a 0.18 or something, and then someone else comes up who may be a 0.7, not legally intoxicated. Mm-hmm. Are they going to possibly be over the limit because the guy in front of them was trashed?
Absolutely. Now, they will say that, well, the diagnostics check will eliminate that possibility, but it doesn't, or the air blank check. It doesn't, because when you see enough of these tests conducted, officers give different instructions. Sometimes an officer will yell at the driver to blow, 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 causing them to forcefully blow. If you blow hard enough, you may dislodge some molecules, and we're talking about very tiny molecules of alcohol here. It can be dislodged from the sample chamber and contaminate based upon what was there before you ever got near the machine. So you're right, there is that potential.
Okay, it's just like an old episode of Bewitched. You ask for your book, it magically appears. But we see here, you say, this is what you study, and
right.
This is what they give police officers to study.
This is the operator's manual. It's a very basic manual of what buttons to push. So I'm not faulting the operators, the officer who runs a machine. It's supposed to be idiot-proof. Not that I'm calling police officers an idiot, but it's supposed to be foolproof so that they can just punch in the name and hit the go button. They don't understand the technology. They're not trained on the real issues to how to make sure a test you're giving is an accurate reading and what to look for that might tell you it's a false positive.
Is there a more reliable test that this machine maybe shouldn't be used at all?
Well, there are better machines. Georgia bought a good enough for government work machine to begin with, but Georgia then stripped it of most of the protections that the manufacturer offered. They didn't want the bells and whistles. This machine has a modem port on the back that it can upload and preserve every test it runs, every error message from this machine to build a database. They don't have that. This machine can, as I said, save those test results. It can be remotely checked. They don't have that. This machine can be configured to measure the person's breath temperature, because this machine assumes that everybody's breath temperature is 34 degrees centigrade. If you have a fever, a 1 degree rise in your body temperature will give you between a 7 and 8% falsely higher reading. And you hear about the source code issue. We don't know how it computes this. If a person weighs 300 pounds, they're going to have a different partition ratio between their breath and blood in relation to alcohol than somebody who weighs 130 pounds. We don't know how this machine compensates. We just know it doesn't at all, because you don't get to put in height, weight, fat content, body temperature. None of that's a factor. So it's like this machine is one size fits all. We know, at least in Christmas bathrobes, one size fits all really means one size fits nobody. That's right.
Is there a time limit for the test to be as effective as it can be?
Well, there's a minimum observation period mandated by the factory and incorporated in Georgia law that you have to have the person free of alcohol consumption for at least 20 minutes to try and give mouth alcohol if they had a drink recently. And they're supposed to observe now whether the person is burping, gagging, coughing, sneezing, any of those things that might force stomach gases to come up. But we've gutted that law by our Court of Appeals cases that say, oh, no, as long as he's deprived of alcohol, we're not worried about that 20-minute observation period. It's no longer observation, it's a deprivation period. So minimum wait between the stop and the breath test should be 20 minutes.
Okay, and you're one of the few attorneys in the country probably that actually owns models of this machine, aren't you?
Well, there are a few within the National College for DUI Defense that own machines, so we can understand them. It's important to know how the machine works. And I don't say it can't be right, I just say you don't know when it is right.
Okay, and still your advice is when offered the test, just say no.
No, I don't make that decision, because it depends. If you believe that you are impaired and you're likely to be over the limit, and you can live with a DUI conviction, and you believe it's a right result, then for goodness sakes, take all the tests they want. If you don't like that answer, think about what you're doing. You have the right in our system to give no evidence against yourself, because you don't know if it's going to be a good test, a valid test.
And then we'll deal with the thing after that.
That's right.
Okay, thank you, Doug. We'll be back with Christie Register and Viewer Mail right after this.